Hey yo, what it do, y'all? Let's get right into it. Let me tell you guys about a little bit of suffering I went through this weekend, right? Or a lot of bit of suffering, really. I chose to play some Torchlight this weekend and I had a great fucking time, but I might or might not have chosen the wrong character under the interesting environment that wasn't fully functional, and we still pulled down the number one for Erika 2 and SSF on the Divine Exile leaderboard, which, look, fight me. I know it's not Asia, but like, I didn't want to play with 250 MS ping. Okay, fight me. I mostly just wanted to do it to experience what it's like racing for that, anyways. Before I started to really think about how I feel about some of the experiences in the game, I think that's actually a really good environment. I think I chose a good season for it, just because of a lot of the changes that came in this league. Which there are a lot of cool changes to actually talk about overall. So I want to talk about in this video how I did it, right? In case you're curious, either if you're an Erika 2 player for some reason and you just want to know how to make her functional, or you want to know how I actually went about like progressing the game so quickly, right? Because Divine Exile is Traveler 7, and doing it in SSF in, I think, like 22 hours of game time, about like 29 hours after the league started or something like that, is pretty fucking fast, all things considered. Like, I know there were still just plenty of people, even in trade, like a large portion of trade hadn't even killed Traveler 7 at that time. So I want to talk about how I actually got there and did it so quickly, as well as some tips for either the character or doing it progression wise, as well as just some overall thoughts about the season itself. So let's get into that. Before I do, like, comment, subscribe if you found the video helpful. You know the deal. Let's get it. So, talking about Erika 2. It's the first thing I need to do. As my heads up, do not play this character. It sucks. Maxwell had her at F tier before the season started because of a massive problem with her design, and after playing it, let me tell you, it is real. The major problem with her design is that on her main hero talent, like her main hero trait, her level 1, it says, hey, this ability can only trigger targeting each enemy once. And it is horrific because, think about it, bosses, especially in progression, take time. And to read her ability to you in a short form, this effect lasts X amount of seconds, which means after X amount of seconds, you straight up do not have a hero trait anymore because your entire tree is built around this one trait. Or at least the useful nodes on this tree are built around this one trait, because I don't need the rest of the tree that like has some stuff that's like, yeah, you should swap to this when you're doing bosses, because you can't really apply num that I have 4 stacks of num. Therefore, I don't actually need anything that adjusts the threshold of num. Oh, this one also only works if resetting feline figure was relevant. Well, I can't feline figure this target anyways, and there's no ads. They basically designed it so that you have an insane amount of mobbing power in exchange for no fucking bossing power, because you can see what happens with what I imagine was the original design of this new version of feline figure, which is that in mobbing, sometimes when I'm like running through zones and I spawn like, say, like a Malice Judge or like a Blade of Eterna, and I spawn the big ass enemy in, but they have ads around them, and the feline figure is shooting at every one of those enemies, but it's an AoE like projectile that doesn't stop on collision. So it goes through the boss several times, and they have like 50, 60 stacks of numbed, which numbed on my character is 8% more damage taken per stack, right? So you got 60 stacks that you're taking almost 6 times damage before adding in the numbed effect that I had. That's why they probably nerfed it so that it only works once per target, but they completely forgot how reliant that character is on it, and therefore it cannot function properly in single target. Which makes you wonder, how the hell did I do it? Lightning Spike. Lightning Spike is such a strong skill that I genuinely think you could put it on pretty much any hero and do it just fine. I would obviously put it on a different character if I were caring about strictly character power. I just wanted to see how Erika 2 this time around fared compared to the Erika 2 that I played last season. And I mean, in terms of the speed of the character, in terms of the mobbing, I felt perfectly fine. It was just the bossing that left me a little angry, and it's just because of design things, because I feel like I definitely chose the right skill to do this on, right? As far as how I did it, a couple major things to understand are that the crafting system is insane now. If you thought Torchlight's crafting was good last season, I think you'll like this one a lot more. This season's crafting, I have some opinions on it that don't really fit within the scope of this video in particular, because I want to talk more like overall about the game in this video rather than do a deep dive into Torchlight's crafting. But just know that this crafting definitely does not hit every itch for me, but there's a couple interesting features that make it positive for me just because of Well, things that are not specifically related to crafting design, such as if you guys didn't know, there's an auto craft button that you can click that and set a threshold for mod that you want to hit, and then just like set it free instead of having to fucking manually alt spam this shit. Oh my god, it's so good, right? Like little shit like that makes me ignore blatant design problems that I have with things, and I definitely have some design problems with this crafting system. But design problems also yield power. So, we take those in this environment, right? Under the circumstances, the big thing is that you can you can, assuming you have the resources, make basically perfect items for any time period in the game. And this was something that I abused very heavily just by farming. Prioritizing, putting a lot of priority on embers and flame sand such that I can actually sustain crafting. Because up until T8, FE, Flame Elemental, is entirely irrelevant to me, especially in SSF, as Flame Elementium is used as flame sand as a base bulk crafting reagent, but for higher eye level items that I was not using because I couldn't run T8s yet because I hadn't killed T7 Traveler. Therefore, for me, FE was irrelevant and we were only hunting down flame sand. This is the case for a lot of people still in trade even, and in my reroll that I've already done and killed Traveler 7 on yesterday in trade, I just, flame sand farmed it out until I got what I needed, right? That's the big thing. You just flame sand it out, you ember it out, and you make your items happen. It's worth noting that you will always think you have enough to craft the item, and you will not, because there is still RNG involved. That just, you can't fail. You can only use more resources, right? And abusing that definitely was the key to getting this run for me, because I just made some insane gear relative to my character power. Main stats still really strong. Turns out your gearing is pretty nuts when you just like slap it all with like nutty affixes. Like it just felt really good in that regard in particular, right? The other thing about it is that, you just had more time. This is now getting into some of my more generic thoughts about the season and philosophical changes that they implemented. The number one thing from this season is that they definitely slowed the game down. Not slowed down my character, slowed down the game. I really need to emphasize this. I feel like people heard Andre on that campfire chat talk about slowing the game down and freaked out because they thought their character was going to be slow. That's not what the fuck he said. He said they were slowing the game down with reference to how fast your progression was in fucking Clockwork Ballet. For those of you who did not play last season, and maybe even those of you who aren't even playing this season, right? But you're just curious because you like ARPGs and want to know. Last season, it was capable to basically not gear your own character at all from start of the game till T7s, because you were going to get given a full set of gear that covered everything you needed damage wise, and defenses were fucking irrelevant at that point in time in the game. So you were just wearing this smattering of questionably statted legendary gear that just made you broken as shit till T7 anyways, at which point then you would farm T7s for FE, buy off trade all the gear you actually wanted, mass craft all that up because you were able to be turbo efficient in farming in just 7-0, 7-1, 7-2s, and then make a character strong enough to do fucking 8-2s and 8-3s and still speedrun 7-2s. Like, you sped through the progression of the game and you didn't really have a top end ceiling to achieve because of the fact that the reward disparity was too fucking large between basic content and high end content. So they decided to address both of those problems. And the solution to the speed at which your character progressed was actually twofold. One, fuck the Voyager set. and like actually make you do with the gearing system that they then updated to be more reasonable to interact with at lower levels. But two, and a lot more importantly, is that they just extended the grind time from time mark 1 to time mark 7, and it feels a lot more gradual, the speed at which your character progresses. I no longer felt like I was just getting random bursts of power like I felt like I was doing in, say, like Diablo 3, for example, where you drop that one legendary item you need and your damage goes whoop, and then you drop another one and you're like whoop, and then you drop a survivability one and you like get really tanky all of a sudden. Like, instead of really spiky progression, I actually felt the curve that my character's progression is supposed to go through. And I think that's a big step forward. I think there are some problems with this crafting system, but let me make it very clear when I say that this is the progression that I think the game should actually have. You should actually feel your character going incrementally, step by step, getting better, rather than just fucking skyrocketing out of nowhere and never feeling like you actually have anything to do, and then suddenly hitting a brick fucking wall and being like, oh, like incremental climb is what we're here for. It like makes this genre feel better. I'm a big fan of those changes. I think, running all of the time marks in order twice gave me a little bit of brain damage though, because of how long it takes. But I think that forced elongated experience to actually farm out all the flame sand and the embers that I mentioned earlier for crafting was necessary. Speaking of farming out of resources, let's talk currency for a second, because there's definitely some discourse about how resource drops are going at the moment. One, I just got to put it out there. If you are playing at this moment, I need you to let me know how you feel about energy core drops, because we were talking about it on stream yesterday and we got to realize, like, bro, energy cores are buns. I've done this grind now twice on characters, like trying to get enough energy cores to get upgrades. And I feel like it feels like they meant to reduce the amount of energy cores it takes to make something or something, and just never did. So I feel like I'm constantly starved on energy cores, which makes doing the path of progression actually fucking brutal, by the way. And then other related things, your flame sand and your embers are constantly under tax in order to create items, but I wouldn't freak out about that too much, because I do think that they drop in very good quantities. Just stop trying to upgrade after every map. Blast for an hour. Go crazy. Then look back and be like, oh shit, I have a lot of resources. Let me go burn all that real quick. Do not try to upgrade after every map. It's tempting, but just don't actually give yourself time to build up some resources that you can actually craft with them too. The other thing is, of course, the conversation about FE, which I think genuinely, I kind of lumped it into my thought earlier with the statement about the pacing of gameplay. But because FE is no longer actually relevant to a player before T8s, they drop significantly lower amounts of FE before E8, which they said they've patched some. And I know I've heard some stuff about people getting get decent FE in T7s, but it does not feel like they moved up the drop rates in T6, 5, or 4 at all. And that's fine to me. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's a thing that people are causing it's causing a lot of panic, because, well, the trade system in the game functions off of FE. This equivalent for PoE players, by the way, is like, imagine you were in T8s or T10s in maps, and you still were not really dropping chaos like that. But we all know that the trade economy in PoE runs on chaos. So how are you supposed to function inside a trade economy if you don't drop any chaos to buy things with? That's the panic that's currently happening in Torchlight. And I think for that particular reason, this is a bit of a fail. But the actual need for FE is non-existent unless you were trying to trade monkey in T7s, which, I don't know, motherfucker. Go get some fucking gear. Just go craft some fucking gear and blow up the boss already. Like, damn. It's not that hard to get to T8s, which, especially after, as of recording this, I woke up this morning to a patch that nerfed Traveler 7. So it's actually even easier to get in there. It's fucking 15% less damage, less health on that motherfucker, which, man, that would have been useful either time that I killed him. But is what it is, right? Those are my thoughts on the currency situation. As far as the actual seasonal mechanic goes, Lake of Kalandra Plus is a big plus for me. Just because I like the idea of Kalandra, but it was missing the rewards and had fucked difficulty in PoE. And here, I still don't think the rewards are quite there, but I appreciate what it gives me for how fast it is, right? It is a very fast activity that I build up very passively. As opposed to Kalandra, where I have to constantly be placing the tiles every map. I just build up a bunch of resources during the maps that I run. Then when I have enough resources, I do one play session of put down the map and run the canvas. And then that gives me all the loot, which in a lot of cases is just a lot of, flame sand and embers and whatnot. But again, I need flame sand and embers. So I'm not complaining, especially also now that I'm on the T7 once again. They do actually give me a little bit of FE here and there. I'm definitely waiting to see what that's like when I get to the T8 ones. And that's that's when I've heard the spike really gets there. But the mechanic feels good. I actually like its design. The play loop is very fitting for me, but that is because I am a nerd and I like these these little top-down type systems where you get to really flex your brain power a little bit. And plus, Puzzles and Dragons was my shit in high school. So I'm glad to see something kind of call back to my memories of how to work with little visual type matching game stuff. Anyways, moving on from that, the actual mapping experience in the game, as usual, is pretty lit. Outside of the fact that mechanics are weaker than they were last league, if you're familiar with ballet season, for example, and how ridiculous some things were in terms of drops. But a lot of that drop diff has to do with FE. Other things, hey, look, they're fine. It's not that bad. Just play the game. Don't panic. That's a lot of my thoughts about this season, quite frankly. Just play the fucking game. I think the game is in a fantastic fucking spot. The game feels good, the progression feels good, gearing feels pretty fucking good. Having access to all the characters feels fantastic. There's aspirational goals to chase after. I just feel like a lot more of the game is in a good spot. Now I need to levy a couple. I left this out till the end of the video, end of this like rant about the game, really, because I didn't want this to taint too much of my thoughts about the game for people who are like listening from the start. But I know you guys here at this point in the video have listened to the full video and therefore are actually taking in the nuance of everything that I'm applying and are not going to take this comment too seriously. It's just mild gripes about the fact that if you are choosing to play SSF at the moment, I would like you to know that you might not be getting path of progression. No fucking clue if they have any plans to fix this, but it's been a known issue since about hour 3 of the season that path of progression is just not functional as SSF, and that is a really big deal. It is a lot of talent points. It is a lot of resources. It is also many void chart points that you just do not have access to because path of progression is not working in SSF. So be very wary of that if you're choosing to play SSF like I did, as well as, again, the Erika 2 problem and other stuff like that. There's probably other major gameplay problems that probably should be noted, but I don't have a full list of them ready for me. I just really wanted to put that note about the SSF experience there before I go ahead and wind this down. Anyways, this season has been a fucking blast. I am going to be playing, on stream some more, today. It's throughout the time as I, play around with Selena, maybe some other characters. I might loop back around for Supreme Showdown and trade first, and then in a set, haven't really decided what order I want to do Supreme Showdown in, all that good stuff. But I do plan on, actually blasting out this season, see if I can get everything done before PoE 2 comes around. And so I totally invite you guys to come check me out on Twitch. Link is in the description if you guys want to come through to there, or, you can even come chat in the Discord with me, chat in the Discord about the game, all that good stuff. I think that's everything for me. And so as a result of that, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching and I love you guys. Bye.